Today, from Mozambique, Africa, it's Peri Peri chicken. This chicken is marinated in a sweet, fruity, spicy sauce and then baked or grilled and then glazed with a thickened version of the marinade. It's ready in under an hour and it's worth the wait. We'll get into a little background on the dish in a few minutes, but for right now, let's get started. For the sauce, we're going to use about a quarter of a red onion. We're going to use a food processor for this, so you don't need to worry about the exact size of your pieces. Any onion will do here, but I love the sweetness of the red onion and I happen to have some on hand. We're going to use 2 red bell peppers, 2 garlic cloves, 1 habanero pepper. This is optional. I'll explain in a minute why we want to use some sort of hot pepper and why I chose a habanero. And a handful of fresh basil and cilantro. And we'll use the juice of 1 lemon. Add all of this to your food processor. Add cumin, smoked paprika, salt, and pepper. A quarter cup of water, and some olive oil. Add a tablespoon of sugar, or close to it. Sometimes working in a small space around 2 cameras does have its limitations, but that's okay. In the end, the result will be delicious. Chop this in your food processor for about 30 to 45 seconds. You can use a blender for this if you choose to, or if you don't own a food processor. So while this is blending, let's talk about peri peri chicken. The name peri peri means pepper pepper in Swahili. This is a Portuguese-influenced dish from Mozambique. It's named after the African bird's eye chili. Peri peri chicken made its way across the border into South Africa, which is where many people associate the dish. Bird's eye chilies have some spiciness to them, but they are also very difficult to find. So I did imitate the heat in the dish by using a habanero pepper. But any spicy pepper will do, or you can just omit it if you choose. I like the fruitiness of the habanero, and it mixes very well with the fruity flavors of the red peppers. So after about 30 to 45 seconds, give this a taste for seasoning and add additional salt or pepper if you need to. The marinade will be cooked down to use as a glaze, so be careful not to oversalt it at this time. So chop it again for another 30 seconds or so. You don't want the sauce to be liquefied. You still want a little chunkiness to it. So once you're complete, set aside about a quarter of the mixture to use as a sauce to put on top for a little freshness once the chicken's done. Take the remaining marinade and add it to a Ziploc bag. And mix it around thoroughly to coat all of the chicken. I used bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs here, but you can use breast if you choose. So marinate the chicken for up to 25 minutes or overnight. The more time you have to marinate it, the better. While your chicken is marinating, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. On a lined baking dish, add your chicken pieces, shaking off the excess marinade. Of course, you can cook this on a grill, and it will give it an additional smoky flavor. So put this in the oven and cook it for about 25 minutes. So while your chicken is cooking, let's make the glaze for the chicken. This is an optional step, but I do like the way the chicken looks when it's finished this way. So add your marinade to a saucepan. This is the same marinade that we use for the raw chicken, but it will be cooked long enough to be safe. If this is a concern for you, then reserve a third of the marinade at the beginning instead of the quarter that we set aside earlier. Now bring this to a boil and cook until it's thickened like this. After about 25 minutes, it's time to check to see if your chicken is cooked. I used an instant read thermometer here, and as you can see, the chicken is well above temperature. I did use chicken thighs here, which allows for a little extra margin of error in case you've overcooked the chicken. It's really difficult to overcook chicken thighs. Chicken breasts can dry out pretty easily, but if you choose to use chicken breasts, that's your choice. The dish will still be delicious in the end. So at this point, the pieces actually do look good enough. But as I said, I like the way they look with the glaze on them. So just rub some of that glaze on top of the pieces and put it back in the oven for about 3 minutes. I found this way of glazing the chicken reaching around the camera rather difficult. So after those 3 minutes, I took it out and put it on the countertop on a wire rack to add the additional glaze. So I applied a second coat of glaze here, and I must admit this was a much easier process than the first time. So after about 3 additional minutes, you can see what the finished chicken looks like. I love the glaze on top, and the taste, it's got such a fruity flavor from the red pepper and the habanero. Thank you for watching, and please check out these other videos.